Alright, we're going to check out the second part of the Vsauce video that I reacted to in the previous vid. So let's begin.
And a donut are homeomorphic, they must have the same number of through holes. And they do. 1. We can now more precisely describe the difference we saw earlier between blind holes and through holes and understand why we are separately counting them. Now, blind holes can be erased through a homeomorphism. As such, topologists don't even really consider them. They're just geometric disturbances. Topological holes, on the other hand, cannot be massaged away. And unlike a blind hole, where what qualifies and what doesn't is a matter of opinion, the number of through holes a surface like your body in 3 dimensions has can be clearly defined. All we need to do is find something with an easy-to-count arrangement of through holes that it is homeomorphic with. But first, let's play around with some topological puzzles. Here is a 2-holed donut with an infinitely long, unbreakable, unmovable rod through one of its holes. Without cutting or separating any part of the shape, can you figure out how to manipulate it such that the rod goes through both holes? Pause the video if you want to think about it. Likewise, if you continuously deform our original 2-holed donut into the 3-tubed thing and pick this tube to be the new middle, ta-da! The rod is now going through 2 holes. No cutting or gluing required. One more puzzle. Without cutting or breaking, can you unlock this shape's intertwined loops?
Nope.
Well, pause if you want to figure it out yourself.
Nope.
Here's a solution.
Not going to be able to do
Simply inflate the bulb of the shape until you can skate a leg of each loop around until they're untangled and ta-da.
Bro, how was I supposed to get that? Come on.
All right, let's define homeomorphism a little better. We said it was a rubber sheet or clay-like molding procedure with no cutting or breaking or gluing. And that's a good introduction, but honestly, you can cut all you want during a homeomorphism, so long as you glue everything back together the way it was in the end. More precisely, a homeomorphism is a bijective and bicontinuous function. It's a function because it is a list of ordered pairs, where each point starts is paired with where it goes. Requiring that it be a bijection means that it must be a special kind of function, where there is a one-to-one correspondence between points in one object and in the other. No 2 points can map to the same location, and no point can get magically turned into multiple new points. Basically, material cannot be added or subtracted. Bicontinuous means that any cuts made must be later mended perfectly. In a homeomorphism, if parts are scooched over, everything else must flow with the scooch, as if all the points are kind of sticky. There is no smooth sliding along abrupt fissures. The precise test for whether a function is bicontinuous is pretty cool. Now, first, I consider a point in one arrangement. Now, where the function takes that point is its image. Okay, now I choose some neighborhood around the image with a radius larger than 0, and I consider all of the points within it. If the function is continuous in this direction, I should be able to find a neighborhood around the pre-image, the input point, that only contains points that map inside the image's neighborhood. In this case, I can. But in this case, we've got an original point and where it went, but given a neighborhood around where it went, every neighborhood around the original, no matter how small, will always contain some stuff that didn't make it over, which means points got separated but not put back. So the function is not continuous.
That's true.
Now that we can homeomorphize, let's start using it to count holes. Remember this shape? It wasn't immediately obvious earlier how to count its holes, but it is easy if we can use a homeomorphism to turn it into something with an easy to count number of holes, which we can. Both of these shapes are homeomorphic. They both have 2 holes. To see why, simply drag and mold and flow the opening of one of this shape's holes into the tunnel of the other, and there we go. Since we didn't cut or glue, the number of holes hasn't changed. So this thing, just like this thing, always had 2 holes. Okay, what about a straw? Well, sure, informally it can often make sense, depending on the context, to differentiate between 2 openings in a straw. The one you put in your drink and the one you put in your
one
mouth. But that
hole.
does not mean it has two holes.
One.
It only has one. A straw is homeomorphic to a torus. Both openings are part of the same single hole.
Yeah.
But this process is a homeomorphism and thus does not create any new holes. You can also see that openings aren't holes by stretching one of the straw's openings until it becomes the outer part of a donut. There really was only ever just one hole.
Huh.
But enough about straws. Let's get back to the body. We found 8 external openings, orifices, interconnected by tunnels. But openings aren't holes. They're parts of holes. And we can count those holes. As it turns out, at a scale of 60 microns, the human body has 7 through holes. The human body is not a donut.
Like, I can make
It
my
is a
hand a
7-hole
hole by doing
donut.
this, but then I can do
This
that, and
shape
it's not a hole.
can be molded and stretched into you. First, we choose a hole to be the GI tract, the mouth-anus tunnel. Now, into this, we roll half of the other orifices. Okay, now we've got something that looks pretty dang human. 7 holes with 8 external orifices that meet in a common space, the nasal cavity. If we squish all the matter in towards the tunnels, we'll notice that our 7-hole torus is topologically equivalent to 4 pairs of pants sewn together at the waists. Your body isn't a donut. It's a bodysuit for a spider. Okay, now to finish, let's make 2 of the legs the nostrils, and 4 of them the tear ducts.
How long did it
one
take
the
to
mouth,
animate this?
And inflate the material into the form of a head. Now let's inflate the boundary of the final tube into the shape of a body with its opening in the rear.
Wow, this is
and
like
we've done it.
all types of confusing.
The human body is a 7-hole donut. Or is it?
Ooh.
For every piercing you have, that's 1 more hole in your body. Well, 2 more if the piercing goes through a through hole. Like, I don't know, if you had a thin piercing into your face that went through a tear duct and came back out, or if something like a bullet pierced into your chest, through your esophagus and came out the other side. That would mathematically count as 2 new holes.
It would leave you.
And there's
Oof.
more.
what
Some
it would
people have supernumerary lacrimal puncta on their
heck?
eyes. Each additional punctum they have over 4 total adds an
seen that
additional
before.
hole to the standard 7.
Oh, yeah? Huh.
And remember the sinuses and the ostia connecting them into the nasal cavity? Well, they're just blind holes, depressions, but as many as half of us may have at least one accessory ostium, an extra hole connecting a sinus to the nasal cavity. Well, now we're talking about a through hole. You can enter one opening and exit via another. Now, these
This is what they
may
should
not
be
be
teaching in
external
school.
orifices, but for every accessia ostia you have, that's
None
another
of that
topological
5X
hole
stuff.
you need to add to your body's total. The thing is, though, most of us have no idea how many accessory ostia we have. Unless you've had serious sinus problems or have had extensive scans of your nasal region that have been studied from multiple angles. So, to answer this video's question, the human body has millions of blind holes, like at least 5 million.
Wow.
And at birth, 7 through holes. It would be better if there was a clear answer that applied to all of us for our entire lives, or if finding out how many you had right now was easier. But you'll have to spelunk in your sinuses to know for sure. And that's beautiful, isn't it? We can rigorously define the properties of holes in all sorts of dimensions, and we can study the temperatures at the bottom of craters on Pluto, but few of us will ever truly know the whole truth of our own bodies. And as always, thanks for watching.
What the frick? At Tweet Sauce. Oh, there's something else. Oh, it's one of those. What was that? Why did he look the same like that? Sometimes I wonder if Michael really is crazy and is just really good at hiding it. Alright, so that was the whole video now, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I learned a lot more than about like holes and stuff than I have before. Like, obviously a straw is like one hole because it's something that goes through something, but I didn't realize that there were like multiple or millions of small holes in the human body. Like Michael said, 5 million. That's kind of crazy to think about. Like, they're holes so small that we don't see them. And they're obviously not through holes that go through one part of the body to the other. It's just like a hole that has a stop to it. Like, there's probably tons of holes on my hand alone. And obviously on my head, where there's like a lot of holes there in order for my hair to grow, obviously. And what's defined as a hole and what's not is like really interesting, because this would be considered a hole, but if you like mold it out into like a bowl or a plate, then it's not so much a hole. And when it's a plate, then it's definitely not. Like a bowl could be considered a hole even though it's not really, and then a plate, obviously not. But yeah, really interesting stuff. You'll always learn something new whenever you watch a Vsauce video. It's always like interesting and entertaining at the same time. Anyway, if you have any reaction requests, please leave them down in the comments down below. If you liked it, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and stay boss gamers. Let's get this bread.